Imagine waking up one day to discover that the world around you has become so loud, so fast, and so saturated with information that the human mind has begun to shut down. Not in a dramatic, apocalyptic way, but in a quiet, passive acceptance. Think about that. What happens to a society where critical thinking vanishes? Where the ability to reason, to challenge, and to reflect is replaced by instant reactions, surface-level opinions, and collective echo chambers. This isn't a future dystopia. It is the unnerving reality we are navigating right now. In this video, we are going to uncover the disturbing truth behind the disappearance of critical thinking and the dangerous rise of what some philosophers now call collective stupidity. A phenomenon where masses of people adopt shallow narratives, surrender their intellectual independence, and often don't even realize they are doing it. And at the end of this journey, we will uncover the most powerful and urgent truth of all. One that could determine whether we reclaim our minds or lose them entirely to a system designed to keep us comfortably numb. But before we dive deep, take a moment to subscribe to the channel. Leave your like and share your thoughts in the comments. The content you are about to experience may challenge your perceptions. Share this with those who still dare to think and who still believe that truth is something worth seeking. Let us begin with an uncomfortable truth. Thinking is hard. And in today's world, it is often discouraged. The modern environment doesn't reward contemplation. It rewards speed. It rewards emotional response. It rewards conformity. This isn't by accident. One of the key drivers is the information overload we all experience. According to neuroscientist Daniel Levitin, the average person today processes 5 times more information per day than they did just a few decades ago. Our minds were not built for this kind of input. When the brain is overwhelmed, it shortcuts. It stops evaluating ideas critically and instead looks for mental habits and cues from others. This is called social proof. You see a post with thousands of likes, and your brain assumes it must be true or important. That is not reason speaking. It is a psychological shortcut. And it is one of the chief reasons collective stupidity spreads so easily. Not because people are unintelligent, but because they are being conditioned to follow signals instead of reason. Compounding this is the decline of deep reading. Neuroscientist Marianne Wolf, in her work, describes how our brains are being physically rewired by digital media. We now skim. We jump between tabs. We struggle to maintain focus on a single long text. But here is the catch. Critical thinking requires sustained attention. You cannot analyze, reflect, or truly understand if your attention span is constantly fractured. Ask yourself, when was the last time you read an entire article from start to finish without checking your phone? When was the last time you paused after hearing something provocative, to think, rather than just to react? These small habits, once common, are vanishing. In a world of outrage culture and ideological warfare, the quiet, slow act of thinking clearly is seen as inefficient, even inconvenient. But the problem runs deeper than just our personal habits. It is woven into the very systems that shape our minds. We must look at how certain structures have evolved, not to nurture critical thought, but to suppress it. Let's begin with the education system. John Taylor Gatto, an award-winning teacher, argued that modern compulsory schooling was not designed to create independent, critical thinkers. It was designed during the industrial age to produce predictable, obedient, and non-disruptive factory workers. Think about that. From an early age, we are evaluated not on the originality of our thoughts, but on our ability to memorize and regurgitate. Conformity is rewarded. Curiosity is often treated as a distraction. The message learned over years is clear: follow the rules and don't ask too many questions. This pattern only intensifies in our media landscape. The philosopher Noam Chomsky warned us of this decades ago in his analysis of manufacturing consent. He explained how power structures, both political and corporate, rely on a population that consumes without questioning. When people are trained to agree without understanding, they become easy to manage and easier to deceive. Today's social media algorithms are the perfection of this model. They are not designed to show you what is true. They are designed to show you what will keep you scrolling. They feed you only what you already want to hear, trapping you in a self-validating echo chamber. These platforms thrive on division, not understanding. They reward the fastest, most emotional reaction, not the most thoughtful analysis. In the middle of all this noise, the voice of reason is drowned out. The systems are powerful. The technology is overwhelming. But the problem isn't just external. It's not just what is being done to us. The most uncomfortable truth is what we are doing to ourselves. The problem is also internal. Stay with me, because we are about to uncover the psychology of why, even when we have the chance, we choose not to think. We like to believe we are rational beings. We believe we make decisions based on facts and logic. The truth is, the human mind is far more emotional than it is rational. In his groundbreaking work, Nobel Prize-winning psychologist Daniel Kahneman showed that our brains operate using two systems. System 1 is fast, instinctive, automatic, and emotional. System 2 is slow, deliberate, analytical, and requires effort. In our high-speed, always-on world, most of us are stuck in System 1. There is simply no time or no will to engage the slow, difficult work of System 2. So, we jump to conclusions. We rely on heuristics and mental shortcuts that feel right, but are often wrong. This is fertile ground for manipulation. This reliance on fast thinking creates cognitive traps. One of the most powerful is confirmation bias. Once we accept something as true, our brains begin to defend that belief regardless of new evidence. We actively seek out information that confirms what we already think, and we ignore, dismiss, or attack information that contradicts it. This is not a search for truth. It is a search for validation. Then, there is the intense pain of cognitive dissonance, the psychological discomfort we feel when our cherished beliefs clash with new evidence. Rather than face that discomfort and change our minds, it is often psychologically easier to just reject the evidence. Finally, there is groupthink. Coined by psychologist Irving Janis, this is the phenomenon where the desire for harmony or conformity in a group leads to irrational decisions. People will silence their own doubts simply to avoid being the dissenter. Why? Because challenging the group feels unsafe. Because going against the grain requires more than just intelligence. It requires courage. And this brings us to the heart of the crisis, to the core reason. We have discussed the information overload. We have discussed the systems of control. We have discussed the psychological traps. But beneath all of it, what is the real reason critical thinking is disappearing? It is not inability. It is not ignorance. It is fear. To think critically is to risk everything that gives us psychological safety. We are afraid of what we might find. We are afraid of being wrong. We are afraid of being misunderstood, ridiculed, or labeled as difficult. We are, above all, afraid of being isolated. Afraid of being cast out from our tribe. In our time, identity has become sacred. We no longer have ideas. We are our ideas. We are our political party. We are our ideology. We are our social group. And so, when an idea is challenged, we feel personally attacked. This is the central illusion that destroys thought. The final and most important truth is this. The solution is to detach your worth from your current beliefs. You are not your opinions. You are a human being with the capacity to evolve, to learn, and to change. This is why critical thinking is not just an intellectual skill. It is a spiritual act. It is the act of honoring truth over comfort, growth over certainty, and freedom over approval. It is the quiet decision to live with your eyes open even when the light burns. It is the courage to say, as the philosopher Socrates did, the only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing. It is the willingness to face your own soul, as Carl Jung urged, and question the very foundations of who you believe you are. The rise of collective stupidity is not a cause. It is a symptom. It is a symptom of fear, of fatigue, of a world too distracted to look inward. But every act of thinking clearly, however small, pushes back against that tide. Every moment you pause to reflect instead of react. Every time you ask a question instead of assuming the answer. Every time you choose clarity over comfort, you reclaim your power. No school, no system, and no social media platform will do this for you. The responsibility is yours and yours alone. When you rise to it, something extraordinary happens. You become harder to manipulate. You begin to see through the illusion. You stop being a passive consumer of ideas and become an active seeker of truth. You become a light in a dark room. A voice of calm in a storm of outrage. This is what the world needs now more than ever. If this message resonated with you, share it. Not because it's trendy, but because it's necessary. Leave a comment with your reflections, your doubts, your insights, because critical thinking doesn't grow in silence. It grows in dialogue. You are not alone. There is a quiet revolution happening, a movement not of noise but of minds. Let yours be one of them. Stay curious, stay awake, and above all, keep thinking. Thanks for sharing the silence.